So following Hasbro's latest Pulse Fanstream event, it looks like we're getting an awesome new wave of figures coming out soon. This wave features a new line of mini comics as well as Maxim series, which looks to be a more premium line for Marvel Legends. So let's take a closer look and see what Hasbro's been cooking up for us. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we'll be diving into the new wave of figures coming out soon from Hasbro Marvel Legends. These figures were recently announced during their Pulse Fanstream event online last week and features an exciting mix of new figures as part of a six-figure wave. In addition, there was also a new line of Marvel Legends figures coming out soon called the Maximum Series. This Maximum Series will feature Spider-Man as their first release and includes an ultimate version of the figure. And while that sounds pretty cool, we'll have to wait and see what these really look like in person and if the quality will live up to the hype. But we'll be sure to take a closer look at this later in the video. And in terms of the new six-figure wave being released soon, this features their new mini comics line. These look pretty sweet so far, in my opinion. It features a nice new eclectic variation of figures, including another version of Miles Morales and Iron Man. So I'm definitely excited to see how these new figures turn out, including the X Factor Jean Grey. Let's take a closer look into their details. So first off, we'll take a closer look at the new Maximum Series figure being released, which is Spider-Man. Now, in terms of the actual new Maximum line, this will be released as a new Marvel Legends subline targeted more towards the premium style collection. We'll see Spider-Man released first in his classic red and blue costume. Right now, my first thoughts are that Hasbro is probably releasing this new line to potentially compete with other 112 scale manufacturers, such as Mafex and or SH Figuarts, right? Those are considered to be more premium in terms of design, accessories, and articulation. So it feels like Hasbro will be attempting to compete on that premium market as well. In terms of the figure itself, his set definitely looking pretty sweet. The coloring and paint applications look pretty standard in terms of quality and don't see many differences when compared to other Legends figures. I do see, though, that the eye expressions do look a little more prominent in detail along with some really nice articulation. I believe Spider will probably come with 35 points of articulation, which is pretty huge in terms of display and posability. His set also comes with 20 accessories and feature a great mix of them, including multiple hand molds, web accessories, and 3 total head molds. Right, so at first glance, this set is definitely looking pretty intriguing so far, considering what you get for it. Now, in terms of the packaging, you can see here that it features a more premium window-based box as well. Right, all of the accessories and figure itself is well presented through the window, along with some nice color work on the box. Also, the Maximum Series logo stands out really well, so you can know exactly what you're picking up and how it differs from other Marvel Legends lines. Right, but with all of that being said, I'm still questioning how this figure will turn out. I've owned some Mafex and like SH Figuart figures in the past, and while most of them are pretty awesome, some have had their share of joint problems. So it'll be interesting to see how Hasbro sort of tackles this and ensures that both the size of the figure and quality of joints meets collectors' expectations. Right now, this will be available for pre-order next month in February, and I believe it will probably retail for around $50. So definitely be on the lookout on my channel for more news as it becomes available. Next, we'll move to the new figures wave coming out from Marvel Legends called the Mini Comics Wave. Now, all of these figures will include a new comic accessory that feature the figure from their comic book counterpart. Right, the first one up here is Spider-Man Miles Morales, featured in his ultimate costume. The comic book included was taken from the Ultimate Spider-Man #1 back in 2014. It has a nice design of Miles. Right, the comic book accessory is a nice new accessory addition, especially since it corresponds to the character and scaled well to their actual hands. The figure itself features a more muted black and red paint application, doesn't really have any real sheen to it, though the body mold also looks pretty solid, and you can see that the figure itself has some really good articulation all the way from the head down to his ankles. Right, in terms of the joints, looks pretty well presented and don't really have any bad fabrication to it, which is good. So I'm definitely liking how Miles himself looks good from an overall body mold standpoint. Now, in terms of accessories, his set comes with 5 of them. Right, 3 total hand molds, an unmasked head sculpt featuring a nice look at Miles, along with the comic book accessory that Miles himself can hold. So a really good looking figure so far from what I can see. The next one up here is Daken. Now, Daken in the comics is an interesting character because he's actually the son of Wolverine and has a very similar look and feel. The comic book included was taken from the Dark Avengers #1 back in 2009 and features Daken in his brown and yellow costume as I think it was a part of Norman Osborn's Dark Avengers like bad guy team. Now, this figure itself features some nice paint applications to it, including the mustard yellow and brown, along with the solid black tattoo on his left arm. The claw came out pretty good in terms of what you're seeing here. They are a little different than Wolverine's. Right, Daken has 2 claws on the outside of his hand and 1 on the inside. So pretty solid looking pair of claws, and hopefully they're less gummy than what you see here in the pic. The body mold also looks pretty solid. You can see that the figures have itself has some pretty good articulation, right? Especially around the shoulder and hip areas. Now, in terms of accessories, his set comes with 4 of them, right, including 3 total hand molds, an unmasked head sculpt featuring Daken's face, right, which came out really good in terms of the mohawk and facial expression, in my opinion, along with that comic book accessory. So again, a really good looking figure so far from what I can see. Next one up is Adam Warlock. Now, I'm actually super excited for Adam Warlock because he's one of my favorite Marvel characters. So it's great to see that Hasbro has brought us updated version of this figure. The first 1.0 version was originally released with the Red Hulk BAF wave and was pretty decent, but just glad we're getting an updated version of it. And the comic book included was taken from the Infinity Gauntlet 1991 comic book series, which a lot of us are very familiar with, right? It featured Warlock rocking his classic costume as the new wielder and protector of the Infinity Gauntlet. Right now, the body mold looks really solid so far and features good joint articulation from what I can see. Paint applications look really well. Really like the yellow around how it stands out on the cape, as well as the curves and the molds curved into it, or rather a mold into it, which is good. The facial expression on the head mold does look a little off to me, though. It looks good in terms of the actual face mold work itself, but not a big fan of the expression and design of it. I feel like he could have maybe been less angry, in other words. But the head mold though came out pretty good. And still pretty happy with it overall, right? In terms of accessories, his set does come with 5 of them, which includes a pair of alternate hand molds, the Warlock staff, which looks amazing, right? And really like how the molding, the coloring of the staff came out, the comic accessory, and of course the all-important Infinity Gauntlet glove, right? And it's very cool that they were able to make this into a glove that actually fits over his hand, so you don't have to push and pull on it like an extra hand mold. Looks pretty good in terms of the molding and the stone coloring. Maybe coloring would have been a little more bright and stand out a little more, but still a pretty good job, right? So I'm really glad that Hasbro is bringing us a 2.0 version, updating the original feature set of Adam Warlock, and can't wait to get my hands on them. The next one up here is Iron Man, aka Tony Stark. Now, the comic book included was taken from the Ultimate Iron Man #1, 2005, right? It features gray and red prominently colored armor. Now, this suit is actually one of my least liked Iron Man suits ever. It feels a little overly bulky, and the coloring design just felt off to me. Also, the head armor looked like a blowfish to me when I kind of first saw it back in the day. So again, not my favorite armor, but the figure itself looks pretty good and how it's replicated so far. Right, the figure itself does feature some nice paint applications to it. The gray looks nice and has some pretty good coloring sheen to it. The blue arc reactor lights look pretty good as well. They don't stand out as much as I would have liked. They're not as prominent, but still pretty decent. Body mold looks okay in terms of the nice sculpting details throughout the actual armor itself. But articulation does look a little limited to me, right? Like the shoulder area looks like the movement may be a little more restricted, along with the lower half of his legs. Also, it doesn't look like there'll be a lot of articulation below the waist itself, but since it's meant to be like a bulkier, stronger Iron Man suit, it's probably not needed. Right now, in terms of his set, it does come with 5 of them, including 4 total hand molds, along with the comic book accessory. Right, unfortunately, it doesn't come with any repulsor accessories, so his set does feel a little short in that area. Otherwise, the figure itself looks pretty good overall, just that it feels a little short on the accessories and articulation front. Next one up here is Banshee. Now, the comic book included was taken from the giant size X-Men #1 in 1975, right? And it featured Banshee in his very cool, but very classic green and yellow costume, right? I also love the fact that his classic red hair was also done really well here in terms of sideburns and everything. So good job by Hasbro bringing us this figure, and it actually helps us round out the last of the 70s X-Men team members, which is great. Now, the figure itself features some nice paint applications to it, including the green and yellow core colors. The wings look pretty decent and are made of like a softer cloth. So make sure you're gentle on posing his arms and not to rip the glider wings by accident when you get them in your hands. Also, the body mold looks pretty solid and seems that it'll feature some good articulation, allowing you to pose it in like a museum versus flight display pretty easily, which is good. Now, in terms of accessories, his set comes with 5 of them, including 3 total hand molds, a second unmasked head sculpt featuring him with his screen face, which looks pretty cool, especially when you pose it in his flight mode, along with the comic book accessory, right? So a solid Banshee-looking figure so far. I'm glad that collectors will finally be able to complete their 70s X-Men collection with this guy, right? Next one up here is one of the previously teased characters in December last year, which is Rom. Now, truth be told, I'm not too familiar with this character just because I haven't heard much about him, past the 80s. Right, but it's cool to see him added to the line. And the comic book included was taken from Rom Space Knight #1 back in 1979, and has him featured in like his gray robotic suit that you see here, right? Now, the figure itself does have some nice molding features throughout it. It has a lot of good layering to it as well. You can kind of see all the nice robotic sculpting parts very well from the head to the chest as well as back. Articulation looks pretty decent in most areas, but looks like he's lacking any real ab crunch as well as leg rotation. The colors also look pretty cool in terms of the application. They do look a little flat though, not the worst in the world, but do a little flat. Red colors on his weapons are definitely noticeable though, more so, and are clean in terms of the application. Now, in regards to the accessories, set comes with, I believe, 6 of them, right? Which is a pair of alternate hand molds, multiple blast effects, the alternate head, as well as the comics, right? So it's definitely a nice obscure surprise in my opinion, and glad to see some additional variation with this wave, especially for fans of the 70s comics runs. Up next is the awesome new Jean Grey figure. This is actually a Target exclusive and has Jean Grey rocking her X Factor costume from the comics. Now, it's really cool to see this get announced, and you can continue pairing her with recently announced X Factor folks like Cyclops, right? That's coming out soon with the Nemesis BAF wave. The retro packaging looks very similar to other Target exclusives, such as the recent Professor X Savage Land announcement from Target. Which will be releasing rather, I think, in March, right? Which has been really well received. Now, in terms of the figure, she looks like she has a really good body mold and proportions look pretty on point, right? Really like the yellow and green paint applications here as well on the red hair. They definitely did a great job there, and the waves and the sculpting it came out really well. Articulation looks pretty standard and don't see much issue there, although the ab crunch area does seem a little low, but still has movement, which is good. Now, in terms of accessories, her set comes with, I believe, an extra pair of hand molds, along with a separate head mold, right? But this separate head mold looks especially awesome because it features that like longer X Factor type of hair, and a different side of it, which looks really good. I'm just really glad they added that second head sculpt. It's a shame though that didn't add any longer like telekinesis accessory effects like the one on the cover here. That would have been incredibly great if they did. Otherwise, this is a definitely must buy for me, and can't wait to get my hands on her soon. But stay tuned on my channel for more news as it develops next month for her. And last but not least, we got a closer look at the new Electro figure coming soon from the Spider-Man No Way Home film. Looks really solid across the board in terms of the figure molding accessories. A lot of really good cuts and lines featured throughout the costume, which came out really good. In terms of accessories, you can see that he includes some incredible effects, including the large effect on his face and a pair of electrical, like sort of nose that extend outwards that he can hold in both of his hands, right? So I really like how this figure and set came out overall. Again, this is an Amazon exclusive, however, and not general release, so be on the lookout for pre-order information once it becomes available, released on January 30th. So there you have it, folks. Thanks for joining me today as we explored the new Marvel Legends figures announced at the January Hasbro Pulse Fanstream event. The 6-wave minifigures will be available for pre-order starting on February 6th, while the Spider-Man Maximum series at Jean Grey will be available later that month, right? So be on the lookout on my channel for any new updates as they come, right? And I really want to know, are you guys excited for this new wave of figures at all? Or how about the new X-Men Nemesis BAF wave featured in my previous video? Let me know in the comments below what really stands out to you and if you plan on picking any of them up. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button for more content and the coolest Marvel figures around. Until next time, folks, keep on collecting.